Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to talk about multiplying and dividing rational expressions. So you're definitely going to need your notes, a pen or pencil, and a calculator, please. All right, our objective today, you guys, we'll be learning how to simplify rational expressions accurately. That's a very, very, very important word, all right? So make sure you get that down. First thing we're going to just go through again is make sure we remember our rules. So please make sure you jot these down for me. When we are multiplying fractions, we multiply straight across. So if we look at this example, if I have 1/4 times 1/5, we're just going to multiply 1 times 1 and we get 1, 4 times 5 and we get 20, and that is going to be our final answer there. Now, if we are dividing fractions, we need to flip the second fraction, take the reciprocal, and change it to multiplication. So remember, I like to say keep, switch, flip. So we're going to have 1/4 times 5 over 1, which would be 5 over 4. And then in the end, ladies and gentlemen, we just need to remember to always simplify our answer. All right, now we're actually multiplying and working through these radicals. We're actually not going to ever really multiply, okay? This sounds crazy, but it's going to happen. We're just going to think about factoring, okay? Really, really think about factoring. We have to factor everything. So we're not going to multiply anything. Is everybody getting this? No multiplying. We are factoring and canceling. So we have to go through and figure out what we're going to have to do to factor. So this first one, you guys, I'm just going to be able to take a greatest common factor out. So when I do that, I can take out 2x, and I'm left with x minus 5. Now on the bottom here, I'm going to do difference of squares. Remember, that's the one where I'm going to have two sets of parentheses, x plus, x minus, and remember, because we're taking the square root of both, so we're going to get 5. Keep our multiplication here. Now, if we look here, x plus 3 I can't do anything with, so I'm going to write it as x plus 3. I like to put mine in parentheses so that I know that those are going together. And on the bottom here, I am going to break this apart. So I'm going to write this as 2 times x, because they're all separate quantities. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to start canceling things out. We can only cancel things from top and bottom, and they have to be exactly the same. So if I look here, I have a 2 on the top and a 2 on the bottom, so I'm going to cancel. I have an x on the top and x on the bottom, so I'm going to cancel. I have an x minus 5 and an x minus 5, so I can cancel that. I don't have an x plus 3, so that has to stay. So I'm going to keep my x plus 3. And on the bottom I have an x and an x plus 5 that I'll need to stay. So I have x plus 5. Just double check, nothing can be canceled, so this is going to be my final answer here, okay? So that's what we're doing, you guys. You see, I didn't actually multiply anything. All I did was factor and cancel. That's going to be crucial. All right. Here's example number 2. So same idea, you guys. We're just going to go through and factor everything and then go from there. So in our first one, again, you guys, I can just take out a greatest common factor. So I'm going to do that. I get 4x is what I can take out. Remember, that means 4 times x, and I'm left with x minus 1. Because if there's nothing there, I have to put a 1. Now this one right underneath it, you guys, we're going to have to do AC. That's going to come up so many times, so make sure you're very, very efficient in doing your AC method. So we're going to take A times C has to add up to B. So -3, two numbers that add up to 2. So I have -1 1 and a positive 3. So if I rewrite this, I have x squared minus 1x plus 3x minus 3. And then I'm going to go ahead and do my grouping. First two together, last two together. First one I can just take out an x, so I'm left with x minus 1. Second one I can just take out a positive 3, so I'm left with x minus 1. So my factors are going to be x minus 1 and x plus 3. Now this is what's going to go underneath here. So I have x minus 1, x plus 3. Now moving on, go to my next one. How am I going to factor this one? Well, this one is also going to be AC method. It's going to show up at done, you guys, I promise. So I'm going to take A times C has to add up to B. I have negative 6, two numbers that add up to 1. Oh, we're going to use 3 and negative 2. So if I rewrite this, I get x squared plus 3x minus 2x minus 6. Group my first two together. Group my second two together. The first one I can just take out an x. So I'm left with x plus 3. The second one, since this is negative, I'm going to take out a negative 2. And I'm left with x plus 3. Now I'm going to write what's left over. So I have x minus 2, x plus 3. This whole thing is what I'm going to write in my numerator here. So I'm going to have x minus 2, x plus 3. And then on the bottom here, I'm just going to keep my 4 times x. And then I'm going to go through and I need to go through and cancel everything that can be canceled. Remember, it has to be on the top and the bottom. So if I look at this one, I can take out my 4's. I can take out my x's. Then I have an x minus 1 on the top. I also have an x minus 1 on the bottom. That can go away. I don't have an x minus 2, so that one's going to have to stay. But I do have an x plus 3 on the top and the bottom. So my final answer is just going to be x minus 2 in this case. That's all that's going to be left over. All right. So all of that work for that one problem. Moving on. Here's our example number 3, you guys. So jot this down. Make sure you get all the work down. Now, you guys, if you have something like this, remember we always want to write it as a fraction. So we can always write this over 1. Then we're going to get started factoring. Our first one, we don't have to write anything, but I do like to write it in parentheses. So I'm going to write x plus 2 in parentheses because that's one whole unit, can't be separated, right? My next one right here is just those difference of squares. Okay, so I'm going to have my two sets of parentheses, x plus, x minus. If I do the square root of 4, I get 2. So that's nice and taken care of there. On the bottom, I could keep my 1. On the top here, though, once again, you guys, we're going to be working with our AC. So I'm going to take A times C has to add up to B. So I have 9, two numbers that add up to positive 6. So I get 3 and 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 plus 3 is 6. When I rewrite this, I get x squared plus 3x plus 3x plus 9. Group my first two, group my second two. My first one here, I can just take out an x, and I'm left with x plus 3. Second one, I'm going to take out a positive 3, and I'm left with x plus 3. So when I'm done factoring, I get x plus 3 and x plus 3. That's what's going to go in my numerator here, x plus 3, x plus 3. Now I can start simplifying. So when I'm simplifying this, you guys, it has to be exactly the same. So I have an x plus 2 on the top and the bottom. Then I have an x plus 3. There's not one on the top, bottom, so I can't do anything with either of these. These have to stay. If I look at the bottom, this also has to stay. So my answer for this one is going to be x plus 3. times x plus 3 all over x minus 2. Now, if we want to get fancy, you guys, if I write the same thing twice, that means it'd be squared. So you can also write this as x plus 3 squared over x minus 2. I would accept either of these for answers. All right? All right, moving on. Last example, and this one needs to be, make sure you have this in your notes, you guys. We're going to go ahead and we're going to divide. Now, the biggest thing with division is rewriting it, okay? We have to rewrite it correctly. So our first one, our first fraction, we keep the same. So I have 2 times x over 3x minus 12. Now I'm going to switch this to multiplication, and then these two have to flip-flop, okay? We can't forget, keep, switch, flip whenever we're dividing. Super, super important. So on the top, I'm going to get x squared minus 6x plus 8. On the bottom, I'm going to get x squared minus 2x. Once all that's set in stone, you guys, then we can go ahead and we're going to start factoring. So our first one up here, can't do anything with that. We're going to leave it. So I have 2 times x over. If I look at my bottom one here, I can take out a greatest common factor. So I can take out 3, then I'm left with x minus 4. And I come over to my next problem over here. This one I'm going to rock AC. Okay, I promise, guys, it's going to happen so many times. So I'm going to take A times C has to add up to B. So I have 8. 2 factors of 8, that equals -6. Now this one, you guys, I have a positive number and it has to equal negative, so both of them have to be negative. And I can take 2 times 4, rewrite this, so I have x squared minus 2x minus 4x plus 8. Group my first 2, group my second 2. First group here, I can take out an x, so I'm left with x minus 2. Second group, I can take out, this is negative, a negative 4. Then I'm going to be left with x minus 2. So I have x minus 2, and I have x minus 4. Both of those are going to be written in my numerator. X minus 2, x minus 4. Now on the bottom here, you guys are going to be able to take out a greatest common factor. Always look for that first. Here I'm going to take out an x, and I'm left with x minus 2. Once this is all said and done, now we're going to start canceling things out. I have a 2 on the top, 3 on the bottom. Can't cancel, not the same thing, but I can cancel my x's. Then I have an x minus 2. Hey, on the top and the bottom, that can be canceled. And I have an x minus 4 on the top and the bottom, so those can be canceled. So all I'm left with, you guys, are my 2 and my 3. So my answer for this one's going to be 2 over 3. All right. All right, amazing people. That is all I have for you today. I hope you go out and enjoy the day, and I will see you soon. Bye.